How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today we got some very important news coming out on jobs. We also have to take a look at the stock market because we know that the stock market and the crypto market are very correlated. I also want to talk about some of the top news in the crypto market. Now, I'll put a few timestamps underneath the video, but I think you should watch through to the end because everything is tied together so closely these days. Now, if you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribe button, I really appreciate that. If you've liked these videos before, if you've watched them and you like them, hit the subscribe button so you get the future videos. Turn on the bell notification so you know right when I post a video, because sometimes things are quick moving. In this kind of market, we've been a little bit slow. There isn't as much news, but things can turn around really quickly and you want to get the news as fast as possible. Now, I do want to thank moomoo, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So there's a link to them underneath the video if you want some free stocks and to start investing in stocks. You can see the crypto market hasn't done too much. We're down about 2% on the day. Bitcoin's right above 30,000, which is good for the fact that we will be, at this point, closing in the green if we close out the week right now, for example. So this would snap our losing streak of 9 straight weeks of red on Bitcoin. Now, with that being said, the crypto market is kind of sideways, but the stock market's looking good. The Nasdaq's up 1.24% today, and this is coming after we got some news. This is coming, and this is one of those things where really it seems like up is down and down is up these days because private payrolls increased by just 128,000 in May. This is the slowest growth of the recovery. So since COVID, this is the slowest amount of payroll growth that we've seen. This is just one of those weird things where we're so much lower than the estimate. We were at $300,000 for the or 300,000 jobs for the estimate, and we only got 128,000. And you would think, okay, that's really bad, right? That's really bad news for the fact that there's just not as many jobs that are being filled, or there aren't as many jobs that are open, so people aren't working as much. So you would think that'd be a bad thing, but it's one of those things where you could look at it as positive, because if the economy is not as strong, either there aren't as many jobs opening because there's not as much growth, or they just can't fill them, so companies are hurt a little bit. The fact is that low GDP causes more fear of a possible recession, also causes people to have less money to throw at different products, which means inflation should be lower and the Fed is less likely to raise interest rates. You could look at it from the other side though and say, hey, this is pretty bad because it means that we're more likely for a recession, which could cause the stock market to go down. So it's one of those weird instances where good news is bad news is good news, because we're all just focusing on what the Fed's going to do and whether they're going to keep on raising rates, which is so interesting because on a day like this where we get bad news on jobs, the market's up. I mean, take a look at some of these stocks. This is really the majority of my portfolio here, along with some index funds. Palantir, CleanSpark, Tesla, Matterport, Facebook, a lot of these companies are up a significant amount. Now, Tesla is up 6% today. This is my largest holding and could be off of a couple pieces of news. Shanghai is now moving away from their 2-month COVID lockdown, so their Shanghai plant should be up and running a little bit better now. And the stock sold off so much when this came out, but it's just transitory, right? It changes. The other piece of news that might have caused them to go up a little bit is that Ford now is seeing U.S. sales decline of 4.5%, but they're seeing higher and higher demand for their electric vehicles. And I've heard good things about them. I know a few people that have tried their Mach-E and were pretty impressed. So this might be pushing up Tesla as well because there's more demand for electric vehicles than ever, and Tesla is definitely the leader. They have the highest margins. When you look at how much they're growing compared to how large their market cap is, they're actually pretty cheap to most stocks in the market because most companies aren't growing as quickly as Tesla. They also have better margins and they're doing such a smaller scale than a lot of these other companies. So I'm still heavily invested in Tesla and buying more consistently. I do want to talk about moomoo for a second, and then we'll get to some more crypto news. But I want to talk about them for a second and a way that you can get some free stocks. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk to you about partner of the channel, moomoo. So moomoo is great because they have extended hours trading from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. This is great because the market is so volatile right now, especially with earnings. We have stocks like Netflix that are moving 36%. So in case some company that you're invested in has earnings after hours and it changes what you want to do, or you want to trade after the market closes. You can actually do that on moomoo with their extended hours trading. They also are giving some bonus stocks. So when you sign up to moomoo and open a Futu brokerage account during the promotional period, you can get a free stock worth between $3,000 and $3,500. After you complete a minimum deposit of $100, you can also get another free stock worth between $8,000 and $3,500. And then if you deposit $2,000 or more, you get the chance to draw 3 different stocks worth between $8,000 and $3,500. So sign up with the link underneath the video to show some support and to get your free stocks with your deposits, and to also trade extended hours today. So Bitcoin is trying to snap its 9-week red streak. We've just been going down and down and down. This is from 48,000 all the way down to 25 at the bottom. A lot of people are thinking we have bottomed. Yesterday we did see a little bit of a decrease in price again. We saw us fall from about 31,000 down to about 28,000, 29,000 pretty quickly. And this is because of some liquidations. We actually had a significant amount of longs liquidated. This is the largest that we've seen in a while, about $530 million worth of longs liquidated, 60 million of shorts liquidated. Just another reason to be cautious if you're using leverage, just because there's so much leverage in the market. And I remember back here in blue, you can see the leverage. I remember being cautious because we had hit 0.2, and this is the highest amount that we had seen in leverage for a while, and we got some shakeouts. And then since March, we just saw so much leverage added to the market, and then we saw a lot of leverage get shaken out here, where Bitcoin was around 36,000, and it fell all the way to about 28,000, 25,000. We had a lot of leverage shaken out, and then leverage has just been piled on recently. So it seems like we might be ready for a kind of a vicious move in the market here soon, because there is so much leverage built up. I don't know if we've ever seen this amount of leverage in the market, and it's surprising because we are kind of bearish right now too. It's surprising that so many people are adding leverage. Now, I do want to hit on one other piece of good news for the day. Yesterday, right towards the end of the day, Chipotle now accepted Bitcoin and 98 other crypto coins, and is offering 10% when you pay with crypto. Now, this is just the first time that you pay with crypto. I was reading through this. Just the 10% applies to the first time you use crypto to purchase Chipotle, but one more large chain that is now accepting crypto. So I think that is overall positive. People will hear this. They'll say, hey, I can get 10% off. They'll go download the app, buy some crypto. And it just kind of brings people into the space. It gets them thinking about it more, right? If you've never bought something and it's something that's kind of hard to understand, well, if you don't actually ever buy it and you don't get introduced to it and figure out how it works, a lot of the time you will stay away from it longer. So just getting people to try to buy it, and then they hear Bitcoin and they listen a little bit more, they try to learn a little bit more about it, maybe they start adding and investing in it over time, that will be positive because more and more people will buy with that exposure to Bitcoin early on, even if it's as little as buying $20 to go buy Chipotle. So overall, the market's looking pretty decent here today. I think it will be interesting to see some of the CPI data that comes out here in just a few weeks and just see where we're moving. Do we have a second month in a row where we continue to fall down in CPI and inflation? That would be quite bullish, I think, for the stock market and the crypto market. I would highly suggest, taking a look, maybe buying some companies. I can't really suggest that, but I would suggest doing your research because there are some companies that are at a good discount right now. And I think this is a good time to be DCing into good quality assets because there is a lot of fear out there between the war, between supply chain, recession. There's so much fear out there. Now, let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the link to moomoo, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.